meetings window, and if someone can do the roll in the room, that would be great. Okay, hopping back and
roll. I got it.
great.
Roll.
All right, next item on the agenda here. Oh, wrong window. It would be approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to? Okay.
I'll make a motion. Travis Mayer will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Great, thank you, Travis. And do I have a second?
Chris King.
Okay. Motion and a second. Do I have any discussion of the minutes? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Just hopping back and forth. All right, public comments. Do we have any members of the public who wish to address the meeting? Hearing none, we'll close public comments and move on to the bulk of the meeting here. So I've got 2 copies of the minutes open from last time. Let me just. My apologies for being a little bit behind the loop on this one. Go. Okay, for some reason my agenda. There. Okay, thank you. Traffic Safety Committee reports, item 5, starting with Chad Hines.
All right. First off, for next year's construction projects, we got I-94, the SWEP. We're expanding the building out there, new pavement, ramps, and building the salt shed. Highway 64 from O to W, we've got some culvert replacements and bridge work going on. That'll be done under a detour. And then we got a few projects on our local program. The big one being County Highway B from 12 to 94, concrete pavement replacement. And then 390th Street, we got the Wilson Creek Bridge, that's gonna get a redeck. And then County Highway C, the Muddy Creek Bridge replacement just east of J. I'll go into more detail at the March meeting when we kind of know maybe a little more timelines and things like that. Just a few items from last meeting. Highway 85 south of Caryville, we had a fatal crash there on that one of those curves. We went and reviewed, we did have a few other curves there from northbound, so we added a curve warning sign out there, so we'll see if that makes a difference or not, for the northbound direction. And then at Highway 12 and E, there was an inquiry about lengthening the right turn lane. We looked at the crashes, and right now we don't have a pattern that would justify lengthening the right turn lane. We were just through there with the project, so we kind of need a safety issue to, make a safety improvement there. But one thing we did notice was that there was a lot of alcohol related crashes there. So I don't know if that's something to maybe think about enforcement out there. We did notice there was I think 2 northbound failure to stop. So if anybody thinks that we should either double up the stop signs or increase the size of them to maybe make more awareness, we could do that, but otherwise, we'll just kind of sit back and monitor it for now.
So the only, instead of just adding a sign, so just the red retroreflective striping down the pole.
That's something
Because a lot
that,
of those are at night.
yeah, that's something that WSDOT still isn't doing as part of our policy right now. I wish we would, but we're still holding back on that. I know a lot of local agencies are doing that, but that's something that, we can certainly try and push for, not just there, but
Right.
other intersections as well. And then the last thing I got, Highway 64 in Connersville. There's some crashes at 79 and 64. we've got a project that we're scoping right now, a pavement project through there. So we looked at the crashes and right now, we don't have a severe enough crash history to make a big improvement there. So what we're gonna do right now is try and get some clearing done and move some signs to increase the visibility. And then we're also working to try and reduce the speed limit on 64 through the Connersville area. We're hoping to drop it down to 45 and see if that kind of makes a difference there. So we're working through that. We got approved, or we got support from the town. Now we just got to get our central office on board. So we'll have to approve that reduction, but that's what we're working towards there. Otherwise, that's kind of all I got. Any questions or anything for me?
Yeah, quick question, go back on your Highway B to 94 overlay replacement. What about 94 north to Battery Drive?
That's a county project.
Okay,
I believe they let that separately. I don't know. I'm assuming.
I'm just curious.
Somebody from the highway department will probably talk about that, but yeah, I believe that whole stretch will end up getting redone next year.
I don't know if we actually have anybody from the highway department.
Yeah, I know Dustin couldn't make it, so.
Good morning. This is Isaac Steinmeier. Dustin asked me to sit in, the Assistant Highway Commissioner from Dunn County Highway. And yes, the next portion of County Road B from the interstate north to Packard Drive will also be completed next summer. Bulk of it will be early summer in May, but then continuing on throughout the summer as well.
Thanks, Isaac. That was
Yep.
timely. Any other questions for Chad? Okay, hearing none. DOT Law Enforcement Liaison, Rick Oleg.
Good morning. I'm going to try and share my screen here if it'll let me. Okay, are you able to see the presentation?
No presentations up yet, but there it is. It's up now.
Okay, I did email it to everybody on the list, so I'll go through it. First of all, as of yesterday, the fatality number is 545 for the year compared to 578 last year. So we're well under last year's numbers, and hopefully we can finish the year well under the 594 that we ended the year with last year. If we take a look at the how we are this year, meaning January through November, as compared to the average of the last 5 years, we're actually somewhat looking better than most of the counties that I cover. When you look at this, keep in mind this on the right, green is good, red is bad. The fatals are up because the other average is just under 5 and we're at 5. But you know, the serious injury crashes are down, which is a good thing. Minor injuries are up a little bit, but again, if we can do things to have a lesser injury, that's always good. Aggressive driving and speed and distracted are down, but as you mentioned earlier, impaired driving is up a little bit. And we look at your pedestrian crashes are up. You had an average of 5, and this year you've had 7. But otherwise, the numbers are much better. Even work zone, only 3 of them. But I do think this past year you didn't have nearly as many big work zones going on, if I remember correctly. So overall, those numbers look, I mean, they can always be better, but they certainly look better than they did the last couple of years. Then I took a look at the couple fatals you had. The first one that was on August 12th on was it 85. There were 4 crashes in the past 5 years on that curve. 1 fatality, 1 injury. If you kind of look at those, one was Winter Road, and 2 of them left the roadway, including the 1 fatality. Not a lot of numbers for a state highway. Then the one on 29, there were 11 total crashes, 2 fatalities in that stretch of roadway. I looked at the lane departure, meaning leaving their lane and striking another vehicle. There were two of them. One was the fatality, and the other one was back in February of 21. A westbound vehicle was in the eastbound lane. I believe both of those were, if I remember correctly, wrong-way drivers. The next one on 29, 11 crashes, 2 fatalities, 7 injuries. The fatal was a westbound vehicle making a left turn in front of a commercial motor vehicle. The only other one that had to do specifically with a turning maneuver was back in 2018. A northbound vehicle stopped, didn't see the eastbound vehicle and was struck, and that was an injury crash. So not a whole lot of numbers there either. Our quarterly crash data quality, we talk about narratives. If you look at the F2 help, this is the description they give you. A couple of key points. One is the narrative along with the diagram should give a picture of what took place. And every crash report except like a car deer requires a narrative and a diagram. A lot of people, well, at least when I first started in law enforcement, we thought we were doing these reports for insurance companies, and maybe back in the 80s we were. But now they're really used a lot by the engineers, both DOT engineers as well as county engineers and even private engineers that are looking at putting up new businesses, et cetera. So they want to be able to read the crash report, and the big part is the narrative and the diagram. Things like failure to stop versus failure to yield. The narrative, especially if you are able to determine that, because there's a whole different way to deal with those on an engineering side. Also, don't assume anybody knows anything about the local area. What we do need is things like the unit direction of path of travel, what happened, what the events are. The description should support the diagram, what driver actions are there, as well as suspected medical event or intentional. I know a lot of people don't want to put in there that it was suicide. However, if you put in, there was one just a couple months ago here, close to where I live. Witnesses said the northbound vehicle pulled off on the shoulder of the interstate. Driver got out and stood on the shoulder, looked at cars, and then stepped out in front of the first semi that he encountered. That's kind of saying it's intentional without, using the word suicide. We don't need in the narrative the data. We get a lot of them that start out with the same thing as your records management report. I, Officer Oleg, on December 4th, worked the second shift in full uniform operating Mark Squad number 723, blah, 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 blah. And it talks about everybody who responded and all that. None of that needs to be in their narrative. And also simply saying, see report number 1234 doesn't do anything either, because we never see those reports. Very seldom engineers ever end up seeing your RMS reports. So the crash report should kind of stand on its own. Focus on the what and how. Again, you should be able to look at the diagram and the narrative and the sequence of events, and you should be able to, in your mind, picture what happened. And also, don't do this. See diagram from reconstruction report, and then the same thing in the narrative talking about who's doing what. This is a fatal crash, and the bad part about it is if this is all you put in there, and that intersection happens to be one that might be coming up on DOT's flag, this crash report is literally useless because they'll never get your reconstruction report. And it literally doesn't help them at all. There's no requirement that the reconstruction report match up with the crash diagram. We know that one is just a pictorial diagram of what took place. The other one is evidential. Same thing with the narrative, at least describing what you know about what took place. I really haven't seen any where the reconstruction was completely different than what the narrative said. So that's just one thing we're seeing, and we're just trying to make the reports better because it's all about funding and it's all about engineers being able to put you in or out of the box for things like HISP funding or getting them in front of the committee that decides the big projects. We have a new tool to use. We have a judicial outreach liaison. Similar to the traffic resource prosecutors that started a number of years ago. They help out the village attorneys and district attorneys. This judicial outreach liaison is a judge from Dane County. He's very good. I've met him a couple times. He currently does all of the training for the municipal court judges, and now he has been hired by BOTS, basically by NHTSA funding it through the state, through BOTS. And he's available to help out any judges. If there's, let's say you have a judge that really doesn't understand DREs, you can contact Judge Moore and kind of explain it to him and ask him if he can make contact with the judges. He's not going to say, hey, the sheriff said this. What he does, and he's done this a couple times, especially right now with the tribal courts, he just gives them a call and says, can we meet for coffee? And I want to explain my new job and what I can do to help you out. You know, when you have some smaller counties that maybe don't see a lot of major traffic cases, he can really help them out. So that's just another toolbox item that we have. Anybody who went to the governor's conference probably heard a lot about the Safe Roads Challenge. There's a telephone app out there called Trip Score. We're just putting the information out there for people. It's a free app. It has some challenges in it where you can compete among family members or coworkers or students. It's open to young and old alike. And the nice thing about it is it actually gives them the ability to win prizes. There's a driver's ed instructor up in Spooner that's already gotten about $250 in the past year just by taking part in this. And it doesn't require a whole lot of work. It's basically your phone sensing your driving habits and giving you input. If you have any questions about that or any interest in it, you can contact Randy Weisinger. He's one of the law enforcement liaisons. His position is slowly transitioning to more of a statewide role in the Safe Roads Challenge. And then he's also going to have some of the larger counties. And we recently just hired another law enforcement liaison, Todd Horn, who just retired from Columbia County. He was their captain. So you might see him at future meetings. We haven't changed a lot of counties, but he might be filling in once in a while. Just a few more things here. One is the impaired driving holiday. The buzzed driving is drunk driving, or drive sober, get pulled over. Those law enforcement action kits should be out there. I've seen quite a few of them in the media. If you haven't done that, if law enforcement and even the other entities, you know, Red Cross, first responder groups, schools especially, put stuff like that on your Facebook page and get the word out. A couple of law changes. There's driver education grants were approved by the governor. I believe it funds 15,000 kids. We're not sure yet how that is going to be dispersed or how schools would apply for that. Once I find that out, I will try and get it out to everybody. The DOT emergency contacts passed and the governor signed it. What's nice is that if you have someone, say, involved in a crash and you aren't sure, you know, who to contact, or you have an Alzheimer's patient, there will be a way, as people voluntarily put this information in, for you to obtain that when you run the driving record. I think that's going to be a huge plus for us, because there's just way too many times that you don't necessarily know who the family is or who to contact. Alcohol regulation changes were signed into law. Probably the two bigger things is the what do they call them, wedding barns now have to be licensed. And then there's also something in here about a statewide bartender's license. The question there is who issues it? You know, is it the municipality issues it, and then once you're, let's say, approved to bartend in Menominee, well, now you can bartend statewide, or is this going to be coming through the state? And right now we don't know. There's a proposal to allow local highway authorities, townships, villages, and cities, counties. Currently, you can drop the speed limit by 10 miles an hour from the statutory limit without express approval from DOT. This is on non-state roads. This would allow that to be dropped by 20 miles an hour without express approval from the state. There haven't been any hearings, no idea where it's going, but it's out there. UTV open containers was voted out of committee in September. Again, not sure when it's coming up for a vote. Same thing with impounding vehicles. The ability to impound vehicles has passed out of committee, but unknown when it's going to come up for a vote. There's a proposal to allow skateboards on all roads except state roads. They would no longer be considered a play vehicle. Bit of a traffic safety concern there, but it's out there. And then peer-to-peer vehicle sharing, basically Uber and Lyft. This would require some specific things that they would have to file with the state, such as the driver being properly licensed, safety recalls, insurance, stuff like that. Last legislative thing is the driver's ed. The rule suspension, meaning that they don't have to take the test, ends the end of the year. So starting January 1, everybody goes back to having to take the actual behind the wheel driving test to get their license. A governor's conference coming up in August again. We have the save the date out there. If you have any ideas for topics or speakers, please let us know. And lastly, I have the DRE school. There's one coming up in April and another one coming up in October. Again, if you're interested in those, let me know. I can send you the full email that explains what's paid and all the details about it. There's quite a few openings in both of them right now, so if you are interested, let me know and I'll just shoot you the email and you can take it from there. So unless there's questions, that is all I have. I'm going to try to unshare if I can figure out how to do that. Did it stop sharing?
Yep, you got it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Any questions for Rick? Looks like you are off the hook on the questions front. Railroad, we don't usually have our railroad rep, but do we this time? Okay, highway safety coordinator, Travis.
The sheriff's department since the last meeting handled 90 crashes. 20 of those were multi-vehicle crashes, 70 single vehicle crashes. 26 of those crashes had injuries, which resulted in 32 persons injured and one fatal crash. State Patrol took the other fatal crash, so we've had 2 on State Highway 29 in the since the last meeting. And I'll kind of go into those a little bit and then turn it over to Kyle to kind of finish that up. We had 6 alcohol-related crashes, and of those, 4 were injuries and 7 people were injured in those crashes. Update on the crash on State Highway 85. I still do not have any blood results on that. It's really slow coming back on those. The fatal crash on Highway 29 at 970th Street, I'll just briefly touch on it because we have Kyle DeVries here from the Technical Reconstruction Unit to the State Patrol. He can kind of go into it a little more. We had a vehicle traveling westbound on State Highway 29, attempted to turn south on 970th Street, and the vehicle failed to yield right away to a loaded semi carrying about 100 sows to market. Both vehicles exited the highway and the driver of the truck was killed at the scene. Her blood already did come back as a 0.16, so that's likely a major factor in that crash. Just something for all of us to consider is this truck stayed intact with the sows, we could have had a heck of a problem out there if we would have had 100 pigs running around on Highway 29. So I know emergency management is looking at some procedures in place in case we do have something like that in the future. What to do with all these hogs, because we're gonna need some resources. Then the other fatality that we had was a wrong way driver. Likely started, and this is only a conjecture, from I-94 on 29 East. And the crash occurred very, very close to the other crash. As far as location, just to the west of that, just a little ways. Factor of the crash, we're kind of looking at likely some visibility due to the rain at the time. And it's hard to see the signage for the wrong way driver. I think that's something we kind of need to discuss, is looking at a little better signage and maybe some other highway markings to improve the safety and reduce these wrong way crashes. We, Sergeant Gray from the State Patrol, DeVries and myself met, and we kind of looked at a number of things, including the signage out there. And I guess I would find it very hard if you're getting off the interstate especially, and you're concentrated on looking down the road, you're probably going to miss a lot of those signs as you're looking for traffic. So I think we need to really look at what signage is there and do a better job of maybe getting something out there that reduces these crashes. We also looked, and we had four wrong way drivers in October, and we're gonna do a little better job of documenting them in the CAD system so I can search them. We've changed how they're documented, so we can have better numbers by the next meeting of how many wrong way drivers we really are getting reported to the agency. And there's not a lot of traffic out there, so there's probably a lot of wrong way drivers that never get reported. And then just one other issue that seeing from time to time is where US 12 reduces down to 2 lanes at County Highway B, or just to the east of County Highway B and near 850th Street. People are missing the signs. Just wondering if it would be possible to paint some arrows on the roadway for the merge lane to try to catch their attention, because they're failing to merge properly and getting hit. Kind of like what was done here in the city.
Is that failing to merge properly, or are they're just trying to go and get in front of everybody?
Oh, yeah, maybe just stop.
The last lady that came in and wanted to complain that the other driver should have got a ticket, she was totally oblivious to it. It was her lane that ended. And so just thinking, a lot of people are not watching those signs as they're merging. And these arrows that we have here in the city as it merges over kind of draw people's attention. So it'd be maybe a simple fix to get people to slide over like they should.
Yeah, I can check and see if we can do that. Obviously, it's not gonna happen till probably next summer, you know, but I can take a look and see if that's something we can do, or if, you know, we gotta add some extra signs out there too, you know, I don't know. Okay, see.
One thing, and I don't know if this is possible, but I'll just throw it out there. One of the patrol sergeants brought up is painting a single line from where you come off of I-94 across the lane of 29. So people figure that they have to go across the lanes of 29 to get to eastbound 29 instead of turning.
It'd have to be a dash.
A dash line, or just to give them an indication that.
Basically a turn line indicator.
From which direction? So
So if you're getting off I-94,
westbound.
it'd be westbound.
Okay,
So going across 29 westbound into the eastbound lanes, they would have some indication. So if it's raining and visibility isn't that great, they'd at least see that line that kind of indicates go across and don't take a immediate left here and go down the wrong way.
Basically same thing that you would see for a left-hand turn.
yeah. Take a look at it, see if That's something that we could do, I guess.
That's all I have.
Any questions for Travis? All right. Moving on, Highway Department, Isaac, I believe you're filling in for Dustin.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Isaac again. As far as updates, from the highway department, next year, yeah, I already mentioned, but County Road B, that project was bid, recently and awarded this week. So, that project, the north half, north of 94, up to Packer Drive, will be starting, probably in May, depending on the spring, and then continuing throughout the year. The other thing Dustin wanted us to mention, there's a traffic safety study that was approved. SRF is the engineering company that's going to be handling the safety study, and that study is going to focus on the intersections, all intersections within the county. All intersections that are county road, and county road intersections, and also county road and state road intersections. So not all the township and county road, but any county and state road intersections. They're gonna analyze those intersections, make recommendations on safety improvements and signage improvements. So they'll be starting that study next year. But other than that, that's it from the highway department, as far as updates.
Any questions for Isaac? Nope. Thanks, Isaac.
Yep.
Next up would be Highway Committee Chair, and we'll need to get the agenda adjusted because it's showing Kelly McCullough, which is me, and it's now Randy Brock now. I'm not sure why he is not with us today. I know that John Calabrese, the...
I thought he was here.
I'm here.
Oh, you are there. I'm sorry.
I'm here.
In
I'm
person.
here.
My apologies,
Sorry
Randy.
Yeah,
But-
I'm here. So whatever Isaac said is what I was, yeah, that's all we got, so.
Okay. Thanks, Randy. Sorry I didn't see you. But yeah, we'll need to get the agenda adjusted, so that's got you and not me. So nothing else from Randy. Menominee Police Department. Kelly?
Kelly's on the street, so I'm filling back in for her today.
All right, great. Thank you.
So far in 2023, we have 304 total traffic crashes. That does include parking lots. We have 146 since our last meeting, which is more alarming as we've had already, we're not through December, obviously, we've had 21 injury crashes since July, 35 total for the year. And since October, the end of October, we've had 6 pedestrian vehicle crashes, whether it be on bike or on foot. And for whatever reason, 3 of them are either at 12th Avenue in South Broadway or Highway 25, or we just had one last week that was in the 1200 block of South Broadway. Possible factors are obviously the college kids, but the lighting there has never been improved over the years. It's still quite poor. You have all the light from Quick Trip, but you really have no real good lighting on that at that intersection. So that's something that we're going to bring up with the city too, to try and improve lighting in that area and possibly even some crosswalk considerations. So we'll keep an eye on that. We thought we were going to have a fatal crash in the Walmart parking lot where a bicyclist was doing about 15-20 miles an hour and took an A-post right to his head when he hit a vehicle that was in the right turn lane trying to leave Walmart. So there's a lane that goes either to Hills Court or goes on Cedar Falls to Broadway. And there's vehicles lined up to leave the parking lot there. He went in between the 2 vehicles and another vehicle was going to go out and turn to go east on Cedar Falls Road, and he clobbered that vehicle. But he has since made it out of the hospital. He had severe injuries, but he made it out of the hospital and he's now sitting in Monroe County for attempted homicide. So we won't be seeing We won't be seeing him again. It's just a weird turn of events. Looks like he got out of the hospital, got himself arrested for, will be in custody for a long time, it looks like, so. But yeah, just a big increase in pedestrian crashes, and we really, we get like 2 or 3 a year usually, so to have 5 or 6 of them in a couple months is concerning.
David reached out to me about adding, crosswalk signage. There's, I think the city's already kind of, you know, getting some of that in motion.
It's super dark area once you get to 13th Avenue, so, and I think our last one was at like 6, 7 o'clock at night, so alcohol wasn't a factor. It was a driver that wasn't paying very good attention, and then a pedestrian that really wasn't paying very good attention and just darted out into the road there. Thought they could beat the car, and it sounded like it wasn't even close. There was no chance they were gonna beat the car. So there's obviously numerous factors going on there, but to have 3 of them at that area is. Questions?
Doesn't look like it. So if you're done with, it will be now State Patrol, Brandon.
Since the last meeting, State Patrol's handled 38 crashes. We had the one fatal, which was the wrong way driver, occurred on September 23rd at 1:30 in the morning. We've had 4 injury crashes, which one of those was OWI related. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Kyle DeVries with the technical reconstruction unit to talk about the fatal crash on Highway 29.
Trying to get it to share the right screen. That's start with this one here. So we're gonna go to the wrong way crash on 29. That's one we're gonna talk about the most. I had some good pictures up here quick for. Let's see, yeah, sure. Stand by. There we go. All right. Again, with this, time was at night. It was like 1:30 in the morning, I believe, something like that, 2 o'clock in the morning. Dark out, no area lighting, light to moderate rain at times. So not a whole lot of good visibility. But again, we could see headlights, so that wasn't an issue. There is a roadway crest at 970th. The roadway dips down to the west after that. So headlights are down. They're not aimed at each other until the cars actually start to come on head on. So with that, we're actually going to watch it here. Hopefully we can get this to play.
Crash time was 1:33.
1:33 was the time. All right. We do have dash cam video from the semi unit that was there. Again, not the greatest quality video, but again, it was raining. You could see every once in a while the semi's wipers are swapping back and forth. Not a whole lot of traffic. Again, given this time of night, we actually don't have a lot of traffic that's out there. I don't know what the traffic counters read or anything like that. At this particular time, this semi is approaching 970th. It's traveling westbound. It's like we're just about to pass the intersection here. There's the turn lane. Through the intersection, we could see one car, and just over the crest of the hill, we now see those 2 headlights off in the distance. So looking at this, it kind of looks like there's just one car coming at us. This is actually 2 separate cars. The light on the left, as you're watching the screen, is actually in the eastbound lane. The one on the right is in the westbound lane, traveling the wrong direction. One other thing that we noted from this is that the car on the left of the screen is actually behind the wrong way driver. So there's no visual cue for the wrong way driver that they're in the wrong lane as well. So that doesn't help. In this particular instance here, that we now see the semi driver starting to move over to the median to try and avoid it. So I just went too far past it. We also have some visibility issues on the car itself that was in the wrong way driver. one headlight out, the passenger side headlight is out. Also got some information too, through some school resource officer in Osseo, that she didn't have working headlight or, working wipers either. So that was another small factor there. And there may be a potential issue for alcohol use. So for a 17-year-old driver. Those are the biggest factors in that crash. Speed was also a factor on her end. 75 miles an hour was her speed coming into that. So one things that we took a look at for this, that's not the one I want to share. Having technical difficulties today. There's no section share. So looking at all of the intersections, why is it? And by. So two of them, that's what I did. There it is. So this is the intersection at 970th Street. As you were, if you'd be coming southbound on 970th, looking towards the east or in the westbound lanes. Just the two signs here for going the wrong way. Not much of an issue here, other than the fact that they're almost going to be overbooked when you're looking at traffic. Here's another just closer view of that. So intersection. Yes, they're there, but are they actually being looked at? So another solution is to either add another wrong way sign further down, or add median signs. But one thing, in order to do the median signs, we got to make sure that it's greater than 30 feet wide. Otherwise you can't, that median has to be greater than 30 feet wide, otherwise you can't do that. So it's an MKCD thing, which I've got here coming up a little bit. This is at 906th Street, coming southbound at 906th Street, where we have a, not only do we have a crest of a hill, but we also have a curve. Again, roadway signs are overlooked more than likely. We don't know exactly where this wrong way driver came in. We're assuming it was from I-94 in that general area, but we're not 100% sure. We don't know where the driver came from. This is the area at the westbound off ramp from I-94 to Highway 29. We're looking in the westbound lanes here. I don't, so you can't see my mouse. This is what we were looking for to see if we couldn't paint a line to come across. The other thing too, these are the only two signs, period, for that entire area. There's nothing beyond that. There's nothing in the median. The other thing too, in this area, it's not lit. A couple suggestions were brought up. We have a really nice protected area here. There are power lines in the area. We put a light pole to help light up the intersection. Just thoughts.
Your reflective tape you talked about, could you put that on the poles, or is it too close to the intersection?
The problem is with that is that reflective tape is for a regulatory sign such as a stop sign or a caution ahead, which would be a yellow. So I don't know that the red could go on the wrong way. I have to, I guess, look into that a little further.
Yeah.
I think they can only be for stop signs
But,
and stop ahead.
Can that even go on a state highway yet?
Right, yeah.
That's the issue. And then lighting, we don't light every interchange.
Right.
And in order to light it, we need to have a crash problem here,
Right,
not
not down the road, right.
2 miles down the road. So,
Yeah, we're just trying to think of that. The other thing too, even though it is less than, the median is less than 30 feet wide, it does allow wrong way signs and do not enter signs to be placed in the median. They just have to be angled towards that. So that may be a viable option too. Maybe
right,
not
because you'd be more likely to be in that right lane as you're going the wrong way.
Correct.
You might see it a little better.
Right. They have the divided highway sign here, which is good. But the MUTCDs does say that you can put some additional signs up in here, and I've got that, or that PDF here coming up here shortly, so. But that's one of the things that we were looking at. Once we get past this, I can tell you right now, nobody's gonna look at these when they're parked right here. You're gonna look right through them.
Right.
Cause you're watching.
You're
traffic
watching
coming in.
traffic.
And again, that traffic, even though it's technically a 55-mile-an-hour zone, they're still coming through at 65.
Yeah.
So
Cause where is the speed reduction? It's not far
it's
past.
right, basically it's right where you see that 65 sign.
Yeah.
Right
Out
there.
at the railroad crossing.
Yeah, that's where it is. So there isn't a whole lot of speed reduction time there at all, so.
And maybe that would help with some of our runoff crashes that end up going through this meter,
Right.
is back that up closer to
Extend,
Highway 40.
extend that speed drop from 55 at Highway 40.
Cause we have a,
Are we still having issues with that?
Every year we get several go right through. Again, they're non-injury crashes. They're usually runoffs. The biggest thing that gets hit is this exit sign right here, exit 61. They replaced that many times. So surprised they don't have extra signs out there just for that. So
what enhancements were done there recently? I know there was some.
We did the chevrons. And then we did something just to the east. I can't remember. It might have been did we have a truck rollover sign there? Like the tippy truck? I'm trying to think,
no,
We did
not
some-
on
this
that.
one,
For coming
we're
westbound.
coming westbound.
Yeah, there were some things added there. There were some extra yellow signs. They added them on the bottom of this billboard too.
Yeah,
Um,
we made, over the years, we
Yeah.
made several different changes to try and
Yeah.
bat that issue.
Um, what about a, solar, speed sign? Your speed is as you're coming into it. The local, I don't know, those usually are added in local municipalities.
Right.
I don't think they
Can't-
put them on state. That's our problem we're running into, is a state highway.
Right, we don't let ourselves do some of those things.
Right.
But that's not preventing you guys from putting a speed trailer out there.
Right.
Yeah, you could put that out there for a while and see if
Okay.
that,
Just get.
well, then
attention.
that would record the speed too.
Yes.
Our trailer doesn't.
Ours does. I think ours does, yeah, ours does.
Yeah, yours does, might not be a bad idea just to see what's
What's coming.
running around there.
And actually put it like right here.
Mhm.
I think
It's gonna get hit. It's gonna get hit.
It was Chad's idea, right?
Yeah, it's gonna get hit. Some other suggestions that were brought about, for preventing the wrong way things, again, adding streetlights. Adding a dynamic wrong way system signage like they have in Milwaukee's at the off ramps. Yeah, then you're looking at big bucks and things like that, but I don't know. Again, we know that there's a lot that aren't getting reported. There isn't a whole lot of places for, if there is a driver to go the wrong way, for them to self-correct. Because basically you just have those three intersections and that's it, and one median crossover. So that was a suggestion, was the streetlights. The other thing, at 906 and 970th Street, either have the dedicated turn lanes only, so no cross traffic, just as dedicated left turn only. Similar to what they did in Chippewa County at 40th Street. Or close it off completely, which would piss a lot of local people off.
Well, we had a highway safety project we were gonna do at H and 906.
Okay. That's a great intersection to do it at.
And we got just chastised and pretty much shut right down. We pulled the project because we wanted to restrict movements there.
I would, I don't think they're understanding the gravity of that, just that intersection and the topography there, how bad it actually is.
So we, like I said, we pulled the application and we'll monitor it and, if we get, some more crashes there, we'll revisit it, but,
The other thing too, adding, going with the wrong way driver, that dynamic system, I don't know what state Wisconsin uses, if they use the TAPCO system. We don't have any signboards or dynamic message signs going westbound on 29 other than at 53. I think is the closest one, if there is even one out there. Putting one at Highway T might be a good spot, but one especially with Country Jam. For Chippewa County or just before Highway T. That way, if there is a wrong way driver reported, it can get flashed to that message board too.
One thing I was thinking, we don't have any cameras out here either.
Right.
I mean, it only
Probably
takes,
your only one.
we don't even have one at T.
I know, I'm saying that would probably be the next one.
You know, at least, 29 is fairly straight. So it wouldn't take very many cameras to get really good coverage out there.
Right. You could do
I
one
can pursue some ITS stuff while you're and see if we can get anything to stick.
the two that I would suggest, again, Highway T and then maybe 970th Street, you can look, you got 3 miles in almost either direction, or at least in one direction.
Can we see from the 94 camera, how far, can we see 40 or not?
No,
Trying to-
you know, topography is not, doesn't allow it, so.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Even when I guess even at 40, but there you still got about a mile in each direction at Highway 40.
Mhm.
You would be able to see the 906th Street, but you wouldn't be able to see anything east of that.
Yeah, I'll look into some of that ITS stuff and see if we can get something out there again.
Yeah, so.
With that hill going up to 906, would you be able to see all the way to it or just?
You could see, it depends on where that camera would be at 40. It'd have to be on almost in the middle of the bridge because of the tree line. Or,
But at least if we would know if there's a wrong way driver.
yes, you'd be able to check the camera and see.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that best spot, yeah. It'd have to be on the east side of the bridge, either in the middle or on the southern end of that part of the bridge, which there's plenty of core area there to probably do. I just don't know what they have for power up there.
Power's not the issue, it's whether or not we got fiber. That's our big cost right now.
So there is fiber going through that area through, Bloomer Telephone. That
But-
kind of fiber.
but
not
not DR fiber.
Yeah, we don't have DOT fiber. Yeah.
We need a thing usually.
Yeah.
But like I said, that we'll explore it and see if, we can get some stuff approved out here, because they keep asking us, how come you're not submitting anything? And
Right.
you won't let us, so we'll try again. So we might have, we might have a case here with all these wrong way drivers.
Okay. The other thing too, we were looking at community maps. Is there a way to add a wrong way driver flag on the crashes?
It's a question for Rick.
So that's just something that came up too. Rick, did you hear that?
Yep, that's actually been talked about. The problem is I don't want to say hundreds, but dozens of other flags that everybody wants. Plus, are you reporting all of these to the TMC? Because I know they keep a.
Yeah, I know. I checked with the TMC. I called. They were supposed to give me a report for the last couple of years, and I have not seen that yet. I called 2 weeks ago to the control room of how many wrong way drivers were reported.
But is dispatch notifying TMC every time you get a report of one?
We just update after our last meeting here, we updated our policy to reflect that, so that will be happening. So
Okay.
If it does go into state patrol, yes, it'll get reported because that's their policy.
Yep.
And Dunn County just updated. So.
Yep, I will. We actually have a community maps meeting coming up, and I will bring that up because this is, I think, the third county this month that's told me that they really would like to be able to pull that data easily.
Yeah.
So I'll see what we can do with that.
I know there was just if you're a community maps user, there was just a survey sent out.
Yep.
Be a good place to indicate that too. I did when I completed my survey yesterday. So
Yeah.
the more of us I would assume the more of us that put that on our survey would probably escalate it a little more.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna hop in because in theory we have about 5 minutes left of this meeting, and I'm hoping Microsoft Teams won't suddenly cut us off. But I'm gonna go ahead and move us along through, and hopefully we can continue some of the crosstalk, very, very useful crosstalk at the end. So DNR, do we have anybody?
No.
Okay, Bill.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, Bill Yingst, School District Colfax. Just two things I've got. Vehicles continue to pass school buses. That's, I think, a never-ending thing. I deal with Chippewa County and Dunn County with that. We get pretty good support. It's just, it just keeps happening, and I think inattentive driving and cell phones, people in a hurry, just fly by the buses. So that's one thing. The other is our State Patrol Sergeant Brandon Gray, who's with you there in the room, came over, him and another trooper, took a tour of our building in the last few weeks. And just the update I have is we do have Stop the Bleed bags in every one of our classrooms and all of our school buses at this point. The one recommendation they made was just having the bags in a common location in each of the classrooms, i.e. probably right inside the door on a hook. And we are in the process of completing that as we speak. So barring any questions, that's all I have.
One thing I was going to add real quick, on December 20th, we will be coming up and speaking to all the sophomores, juniors, and seniors at the Colfax High School, giving a presentation to them.
Great. Any questions for Bill?
Thank you.
All right, Dunn County Board Representative, that's me. I've got nothing to add this time around. Community member, Ryan.
Hey, good morning, Ryan Howe, Menominee Transportation. The only thing I really have to add is we want to thank the Dunn County Sheriff's Department and the Wisconsin State Patrol. They've been following a couple of the buses, and I think they've caught a few red light runners. So we really appreciate that on some patrols in the morning and in the afternoon as well. So any help we can get with that, like Bill said, we really appreciate it. Happens way too often. So we just want to thank them guys for helping us out with that. But other than that, that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Ryan. Okay, switching over to the medical emergency, Red Cross, Jenny?
Yes, good morning. Just a couple items from us. The Red Cross Emergency app, if you're not familiar with it, we've had that app for quite a bit, but we did some enhancements and added a couple more features. So if you have that, you can customize your radius, your personal location radius. There's also an air quality functionality that's going to be added there, and that draws from the information that the EPA posts. And also have expanded our wildfire feature there. So if the individual that has that downloaded on their phones and they have their GPS enabled, the other feature of this app is it will track you where you are. So if you're traveling, you're vacationing, that will pick up the location and it will alert you if there's any emergencies or any other announcements in that area. And this app is free, so it's just an optional tool for folks for their preparedness. And then the other thing is we have our Northwest Wisconsin Heroes breakfast event. And this is something that we've been hosting for almost 20 years now, and we are looking for hero nominations. And I know there's been heroes from Dunn County in the past. And Kelly, is it best if I send you information and you can get it out to the group, or who can I send information out to, or maybe just reply to the email? Is that better?
Yeah, probably replying to the email is easiest.
Okay. Yep, yeah, and the nominations we're accepting until December 31st. The Heroes Breakfast is March, so if you know of anyone, some of the categories are Community Hero, Adult Good Samaritan. So the information that I will send will have information on the nomination, and it's an online nomination, so pretty easy. But that's it for us. Thank you.
Great, thank you. First responders, is it Shanna or Shayna?
Actually, it's tricky. It's Shauna. Yep. But
Shauna.
how it's spelled,
My apologies.
it's a 50-50 shot there. So yeah, I don't have anything to report. And just happy holiday, everybody.
Great, thank you. Mayo Clinic. Looks like we don't have mail this time. Public health, KT.
Good morning, everybody. Two quick updates, and hopefully Melissa and her team have already shared. We will be doing, like we did last year, an emergency response tabletop exercise in January. And so we will be reaching out to community partners about that tabletop exercise. The second thing that I wanted to share is that we are in our every 5-year community health assessment process. We have received about 626 respondents from Dunn County residents about what they perceive as their top health priorities. And we are in process to check that with secondary data and go back into community conversations about whether or not it resonates. Preliminary data are showing some interesting results. Housing, not unexpectedly. Some of the things that we've already seen about substance abuse, mental health. But something new this year is childcare, recognizing that folks are not able to get to their jobs if they are lacking childcare. And then, of course, the upstream results of inadequate childcare as far as ACEs in children's lives. So wanted to share those two things. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, KT. Does anyone have any questions for KT? Okay. Disasters, Melissa.
Yes, Katie, I think we did send out a save the date for that exercise. And we'll be following up after the holiday season just to get more information out. Last year, we hosted it right here in the EOC, and I think it was a very successful exercise. We learned a lot, but so yeah, we did start on that process. I really don't have any disasters. The only thing I did want to mention is we had that train versus truck couple days ago, and we did have some hazmat spills, just diesel fuel, I think it was. So nothing major, but could have probably resulted in a disaster. So we were very fortunate that we just had some minor diesel spill.
There was hazmat material on that train.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad the train stayed upright. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Melissa. The traffic safety side of Travis. Travis, do you have anything to add on this side?
Nope, nothing to add.
All right, fire department, Denny? Okay. UW extension. All right. That would bring us to item 7, items placed at the request of the chair. I don't have anything there from John. The next meeting will be March 15th, 2024 at 9:00 a.m. I presume it'll be hybrid like this one again. And with that, we are adjourned. Randy, let me grab you for just a second at the end here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, Randy, I sorry I didn't realize you were here, or I would have cheerfully handed this off to you as vice chair. Dustin called me and said, "Can you run the meeting?" I'm like, okay.
That's okay. No problem. I should have probably put something in here. I never did the team thing before, so I was kind of trying to figure this out. So, but
Okay,
not a problem. Good job.
Thanks, everybody.
Did this format work for everybody best, or, and those of us that are here, this a good meeting location?
I think so.
That works. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we'll do it the same way again next time.
Awesome. I hope to be there in person. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow, and I didn't want to be in an enclosed space. All right. Thanks a bunch. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yep.